Many of you have been enjoying cargo hauling gameplay videos on the channel of late, and so making the final push to unlocking member rank has made new missions available, but mistakes were made along the way, and rather than gloss over that, it seemed fitting to upload the bad as well as the good. I'm Forrester, and that's exactly what this gameplay video will show, doing a bit of an oopsie with some member rank medium haul contracts. This video is intended to be more of a gameplay video than a tutorial, although there is one of those available on the channel if that's what you were looking for. And to keep the overall length of the video down, all of the footage will run at ×4 speed. So bolt down those cargo crates and let's get started. As always, we start by taking the contract, in this case scrolling through, having a good look at all of the different member rank missions available and seeing what efficiencies can be gained. In this case it looks like 3 of the different medium haul member rank missions all have the same starting point, and although it gives me 3 different destinations for all 3 contracts, those destinations are Bagini, they are Port Tressler, and they are Seraphim. So I can chain together 3 different deliveries to complete all of the contracts even though they have got mixed destinations, and I can pick all of that cargo up from one location. So far, so good. In this case I have my trusty ATLS, which is coming onto my M2 Hercules. The M2 is not as ideal a cargo hauler as the C2, some of that internal space could have been used a little bit better, but this is my ship. And this is more than sufficient to take the roughly 300 SCUs of cargo that are going to be delivered for this one. So we'll take off, depart from beautiful Horizon, and start making our way up to go and pick up these crates. Now I should point out at this point that some of you have given me feedback on the videos that it's nice to have a mix of talking and watching, and so I'm trying to keep my mouth shut a little bit more and have some longer breaks for you to enjoy some of the nice background music that's playing. And at this point what I'm doing in game is actually just having a look at those 3 contracts, making a note of exactly what needs to go where, in what quantities, so that I know when I get to each of the stations how much I'm dropping off. This is probably where I've made the mistake. So previously when I've done hauling contracts I've had all different materials. Actually in this case across the 3 contracts there are only 3 materials. I've got aluminium, I've got tungsten, and I've got corundum. What I would usually do is separate out each of my contracts that I know what I'm delivering to where, but in this case, because all of the materials are the same, I've just looked at what I need to deliver to each destination, and this is where I've essentially made my grave mistake. What I really should do is, when picking the cargo up here, I should split it all out by contract so that I'm only delivering the specific boxes for each specific contract. But I don't know, took my brain out. I thought it would all be fine. I thought it's all the same stuff anyway. It doesn't matter what sticker is on the box, right? Well, not quite right. So here I'm getting everything ready to load up all of the cargo, but I'm just going to be doing it by cargo type instead of being smart about it, it's a shame. But basically, this is the point at which I've messed up. It's when I'm loading up the cargo. So my plan here is to just organise all of the crates before I depart so that I've got different types of crates going to different destinations, and I can have all of the stuff that I need for Bagini Point, which is the closest destination right at the front of the ship, and then I can just split the aluminium and the tungsten at the back of the ship so that I can have the exact amounts that I need when I get to the other destinations. The plan was okay. Unfortunately, I didn't realise that's not how the game seems to work, and it wants the specific crates for the specific mission. So what I probably should have done is just brought these up one at a time for each of the contracts and loaded them up in kind of quadrants and thirds on the M2 and done it that way. But it's a learning exercise, I suppose. I guess many of you will probably already know this, and I guess be easy for me as somebody who uploads YouTube videos to just gloss over it and pretend it never happened and pretend I know all about cargo hauling all the time. I think, like many of you, I'm still learning a lot every time I play, and this is one of the first times that I've chained together multiple of these medium contracts with a bigger ship, and so I messed up, and here it is. I also found the ATLS, it's kind of a necessity for some of these larger haul missions, but it's very hard work sometimes to get it to do what you want and put things where you want. So I'm kind of grateful for the ×4 speed for this, because the ATLS and I are not friends. It's a necessary vehicle for doing what I need to do, but it's not kind to me. I don't know if many are the same, and I don't just mean sometimes being crushed by it as you're trying to get on board or leave it. I just mean getting the boxes where you want. Sometimes it's fantastic, and sometimes it's just not. So yeah, ATLS, we have a difficult relationship. So what I've done here is I've loaded up right at the front of the M2 the crates that will be enough to satisfy the first drop-off location, which is by Genie Point. So I've got all of the right quantities of the right materials there, but they're not from the specific contract. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is going to be a very efficient piece where I can just drop this lot off and then just pick and choose what I want from the rest that's neatly organized and go from there. But as will become painfully obvious, that wasn't to be. And hopefully some of that music is enjoyable, as this is some tedious cargo crate moving gameplay. I think this is just how cargo crate moving gameplay is sometimes. It does feel a bit tedious, but I did mention the ATLS is not always friendly to me, so in this case I'm actually using my multi-tool to be able to move things exactly where I want them to be the most useful. So I guess I don't just use the ATLS, sometimes I'll use that multi-tool to help as well. This is, in my mind, the plan is to spend the time organising the crates, and then when I get to the destination things will be easier because I'll have everything neatly where I want it for each of the contracts. So in this case I've got aluminium and tungsten that will need to go to a mixture of destinations, and so just having the crates organised, aluminium's on one side, tungsten's on the other, and I can just grab however much I need. That's the idea. And there we can park up the ATLS. Now, I'm just checking all around the elevators and the ship to make sure that there was no extra crates that I've forgotten to pick up. And thankfully, we've got everything, so I can now jump on board. And I've got a handy button that will close all of those doors as we watch for the rear doors to open and then make our way out of the hangar. And there we go. First set of cargo, well, all of the cargo picked up. We'll go to the first of the drop-off points at ArcCorp to buy Genie points, and we'll drop off the first set. Nice, quick quantum travel hop with the M2. Does help that it's in ×4 speed, I imagine. And we'll go and drop off the first crates. And hop down. Now for this contract I've put all of the crates that I think I'll need right at the front of the M2. So the M2 cargo deck is kind of split into two separate grids, a thinner grid at the front and a wider grid at the back, and in this case that makes it quite easy to be able to separate out about a third of your cargo from the rest, and in this case I've got 1/3 of my cargo which is dedicated to this delivery point. So whilst this is one delivery location, i.e. Bajini Point, there are multiple missions delivering to this location. So it's one destination but actually multiple contracts impacting it. So it's not just a case of this is one single contract in itself. If it was, it would probably be much simpler to have split things out in the first place, but never mind. And I'm just having a quick look down the list and see if there's any other contracts to take from this location. So here I can see I've got most of the required delivery has been made, but a couple have not. So what I'm going to do is just have a quick look through my crates and deliver the last of what I think is needed for this contract. Have a quick look at what it wants. So it still wants aluminium, tungsten in quite large amounts. So this is where I'm realizing that it's not a simple matter of just delivering the crates in the quantity that the mission wants. You need to deliver the actual mission crates. So in this case, because I've got 3 different missions worth of crates, even though it's the same material, it seems to be wanting me to deliver those specific crates, which is frustrating. But I'll not make this mistake again, that's for sure. So at this point I haven't offloaded everything, I've just moved in the crates that I think the contract still wants. And I've delivered those, and I'm quickly realising that actually I'm just going to have to offload everything. Which is frustrating. I can't describe to you the disappointment that this moment brought me when, having spent all that time neatly organising all of the cargo, I suddenly realise actually I'm just going to have to dump it all and then take back the stuff that the mission doesn't want. Very disappointing, but these are the mistakes that we make along the way. You don't get to, well, I guess you do get to member rank without figuring this stuff out, but you don't get much further. I tell you what, I wouldn't make this mistake again. I mean, I'm sure some of you will let me know in the video comments if you've also made a similar mistake in the past. Like, must be quite easy to do. So just use the multi-tool to drag the last of these crates onto the elevator. So this is now all 3 contracts worth of everything is on here, just to make sure I get that tick in the box that say delivered to Baijini Point. Move everything back. And it still hasn't accepted everything. So back to the freight manager. Send everything down again. Bring everything back up again. Send everything down again and get it to accept the contract fulfillment for it, and then bring everything back up again. So I've now completed all of the elements of the Baijini Point contract. So although it's 3 contracts, 2 of them involve delivering here, and the little check boxes for each of those for deliver your stuff to Baijini are now ticked. So that's one of the 3 destinations done. It has taken a lot longer than expected to get to this point, but I now kind of know what I need to do. I just need to move all of these crates, which are now bugged, so I have to walk up to them with the tractor beam to get them to move. I just have to put all of these crates onto the ship, and then from the ship, all of these crates to the next destination, which will be Seraphim, and then all of the crates that are left back on the ship, and then all of those crates to Port Tressler. And that should be 3 contracts complete. So it's a lot more work than was expected, but in theory, this should do it. So just a case of moving these crates to the front so that I can get to them with the ATLS, and then back aboard the ship again. And there we go, that's all of the crates loaded up. I'm going to do a quick check again of the elevator, make sure there's nothing there. Quick check beneath the ship, make sure there's nothing there. Sometimes, especially when you're using ATLS, these boxes fling around, but seem to have everything. So, gonna load up, close the doors, and move on to the next location, which is going to be Seraphim by Crusader. It won't, for some reason, accept that as a destination, so we'll just lock in Munawala and then head over to Crusader from there. One of the things I like about the M2 is that the stock quantum drive is pretty quick, so I'm not waiting for too long to be able to cross across the Stanton system, which is a very, very welcome feature. So make our way down the little ladder, hop back into the HLS, and we'll start unloading crates at Seraphim, much like what you saw at Bikini Point. This time I know that I need to just unload everything, so it hopefully is going to be a little bit quicker, a little bit more efficient, because I can just dump all of the crates out and then worry about loading up what's left. Once again, the HLS making that harder than it needs to be for me. So, that's everything gone down the elevator. We'll let everything come back up the elevator. And now I just have stuff to deliver to Port Tressler in theory. It's quite nice seeing that contract just saying Port Tressler. That's all you need to do. Drop some stuff off at Port Tressler. And that will be my final destination. So it should be as simple as loading up the last of these crates, heading to Tressler and dropping them off. And there we are, that's the last of them. If you are enjoying this music, by the way, I always keep in the video description the list of all of the tracks on each of the videos that I make. Most of them are from the YouTube audio library, so you can always find out more information about what that is. As we've got the last of the crates loaded up, close the doors and leave the hangar to head to Port Tressler. I think I've mentioned this before, but I am trying to keep a bit quieter so that you can enjoy the music a little bit more. Feel free to continue to let me know in the video comments if that works for you, or if you'd rather hear me voicing over the video a little bit more. I'm trying to find the balance and respond to the feedback that you've all given me, so hopefully this is a decent balance, albeit this type of gameplay of just basically just loading crates all the time may not be the most exciting that you've watched on this channel, but it's realistic for what this session looked like, so it seemed fitting to still upload. So we make our way across to Microtech. Trying to get some good views of the M2 as it makes its way into Port Tressler, but the camera system fighting me a little bit there, as will happen sometimes. But I've had approval to land, so head into the hangar. So, after messing up organising my boxes. This is the last destination, and it should be a simple case of unload everything that's left, and then all 3 of those contracts should be complete. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And there we have all of the last of those crates. However, eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed none of these contracts have completed because the game thinks there are some crates missing. So I'm checking through all of the list of all of the stations. I can't see anything really for any of this. Maybe at one of them. I'm not going to go back at this point. So that's been the challenge. Made a mess of this one. It happens sometimes, I suppose. So 3 medium member hall contracts attempted, tried to chain them together, messed it up, and the result is 0 of them fully completed. At least it was some realistic gameplay for you to watch, where sometimes things don't go according to plan. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you might press the like button to let me know to keep uploading things when they don't go quite according to plan. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you might like to do that too, so you can be notified of the next video as it goes live. But otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.